Well, hey, let's switch and talk about a little bit what you do. And we always hear these stories about, somebody built a big business and they got this massive exit.
Mhm.
And we always hear the pre-tax number. I rarely hear the post-tax number.
Hmm.
And one of the things, I'll say this is true with me. I don't feel like I'm doing the things I need to do to eventually sell my business at some point. Um, but what are the things, what are the things that business owners need to do to make sure they keep as much of their money in the sale as possible and give as little to the in tax as possible?
Yeah, there's a saying, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And
Yeah.
so, you know, you got to be you got to know the game, and you got to know the rules, and you got to know, what's at stake, and I think the clearer you are on those three things, the more likely you are to succeed when it comes to a large exit, right? So you spent 10,000 hours building the thing, probably, at least. You poured blood, sweat, tears into it. And this is a chance for you to build momentum or to lose a lot of momentum to tax. And that's the reality, not just to tax, but also the ability to have asset protection, and also not just capital gains tax, but also estate tax, not just estate tax and capital gains tax, but also income tax. And so the most expensive thing I've heard that we're ever going to pay is the things we don't know, and it's going to cost us. And then the second thing is tax. And so you really want to know what's at stake, and know that these exit events are not just singular type of expense. So most people think, well, I have 20% federal. I have my state, let's say California, 13.3, so that's 33. Then I have maybe some Obamacare, that's 3.8. So maybe I'm about 37%. And they think that, okay, maybe I just want that. Well, no, it's way more than what's at stake. It's not just that 37%. Let's say you're selling a $10 million business and you have a zero basis. It's also the ongoing effect of how that money could be deferred on the income side, the asset protections from creditors, right? This is part of why we have IRAs and 401ks, because they're asset protected from creditors, not just for retirement, right? There's that added ROI there, right? That you need to be aware of, that most people just do not take into account, or they let their CPA just say, just pay the tax. And part of why it's easier for the CPA, it's kind of like my family practitioner said, you don't need an MRI, right? I mean, for whatever reason, he said that, right? Either he really believed it, or it saved him money, or saved him time, or whatever it might be. Sometimes the CPA can be that. They can be the one that just says, just pay the tax. And it's much easier for you to just say that, right? I haven't heard of that. I'm not sure. And so there's some definitely, some things that you need to make sure that you have a team in place that maybe knows how to do the higher level strategies. The other thing I would say is the fact that, just knowing your numbers, right? So just like you would know your numbers to sell your business, you realize that that's nearly 40% of your sale. So think about that. If you spent 10,000 hours, let's just say 40% of those hours represent 4,000 hours of your time. Wouldn't it make sense to spend 5 hours to set up a plan, to exit, to defer tax, and to build wealth? Of course, right?
Yeah.
So just don't trade what you've built for just giving it away to the government when you can legally defer and build wealth. And so that's what I would say on that. Understand your numbers, understand the game, and understand what's at stake.